probably in November of 2006 or 2007, it was one of those November meetings, I gave the board a 30% plan. This is what we're going to do when it drops 30%, because it's going to drop. And well, we went through that plan in maybe 30 days. I mean, it was trying to catch the falling knife. It was a really really challenging time, but it has a happy ending, and that is that by the fourth quarter of 2009, we started to see the mining business come back, and we got a good booking rate through that fourth quarter, and survived the year, and we've made a little bit of money, which of course is the number one responsibility of a business, is to make money. Sometimes that gets forgotten, but it is still number one. And the story is that now we're going to be 50% up from prior year this year, and that's that's because we have good products in the right place at the right time. There's got to be demand, which we learned last year. Without demand, I don't care how brilliant your idea is, it's not going to succeed. So we're fortunate to have the mining business, fortunate to have the energy business that we have, and in the U.S. it's pretty tough. It's basically the geothermal heat pump business is good, and we just sold a couple of energy rigs, one of them here in the Marcellus Shale, so there's some encouraging signs there, but it's been really tough. I mean, it's probably been 18 months or so since we sold a big energy rig in the U.S. With DVRC's guidance, I think I described this already. You're trying to determine where you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. Create an action plan. And then the nice thing of working with Harold is we've set up quarterly reviews, and so he's holding me accountable, and that's not easy to do, is it, Harold? And we get together and talk through where we're at, and what adjustments we need to make, and if in fact we have to change our targets. And we updated annually, so we've been probably through 4 years or so, 5 years working with Harold on continually. Sometimes we're off for 2 days and let's take a clean sheet of paper out. Others it's, hey, let's just update. This past year, what we actually did was threw off all the operational type things and said it's all about sales. So pick the markets, which might be on one of these slides that we chose, which were China, Marcellus Shale, the ground source heat pump market, and go after those and get focused on, just on the top line growth. The operational things are still going on, but get focused on being proactive and chasing those opportunities. So some lessons learned. You have to know it before you grow it, and I don't know where I read. There's not an original thought in here, I assure you. This is life is experiential, and Solomon said a long time ago, "There's nothing new under the sun." So a lot of this is gleaned from reading and then believing it or not believing it. It either matches your experience or it doesn't, and there's really no magic. But if the first thing you got to know is who you are and what you're good at before you decide what it is that you're going to be able to do. And I know I can't play the Stradivarius, so I learned to play the guitar as a kid, and not very well, I might add. But nonetheless, you got to know, you got to know yourself. Innovation, marketing, and planning are essential to any business. And I'll make a pitch on the marketing line here. Because Harold introduced us a few years ago to Doug Hall, who's this Procter & Gamble ex-marketing wizard. And he really boils down marketing physics into 3 points. And one is overt benefit, so it's got to sort of scream at you what the benefit is. The other is reason to believe. You got to have some credibility. And the final is dramatic difference. It's got to make a difference to the marketplace. And actually use those 3 things. We even use it to just make a pitch to somebody, just to remind us that, gee, are we answering those questions? Because it's pretty simple stuff, but you know, marketing is, you could have a great idea, and if you don't know how to communicate it to make the customer want it, it doesn't much matter. It's not going to penetrate. And you know, this is my own. Planning's important. Adjusting plans is critical. Don't get married to your idea. You know, you got to be able to, as I say, audible during the game. And I mentioned profit being the #1 responsibility of a business. That actually comes from Drucker. It's the #1 responsibility, but it's a byproduct. It's not. You don't just make money because you want to make money. You make money because you make people want what you have. And you know, that, first of all, goes back to the innovation, but along with that goes the communication of what it is and why it's better, and you know, that makes people want you. And then I love this one. Mike George is a Dallas-based consultant. He tortured us at Ingersoll Rand at one time or another. But management is a test of character and the nervous trials of reality. How about it? I mean, last year was a real test. So now the strategic communication. I had, you know, for several years been communicating our strategy to all of our employees, and shockingly, when I had the DVRC HR consultant come in and survey, shockingly, they couldn't repeat it. So I was very frustrated with that because it had been handed to them in writing, and it was beautiful. You know, it was long sentences and descriptive and to the, you know, in great detail. And as I was sitting with John Bellis, our CFO, one day discussing, you know, our frustration in communicating this, I noticed that several of our points started with EI. So I said, EIEIO. And I said, John, now you got to figure out the O. So here's, and this works, believe it or not. Explore, you know, find new markets and applications for our product. We just sold our first oil and gas rig into Brazil. We've been after that market for 3 years. It's been, you know, part of the strategic plan. We finally have gotten the first one in. And of course, you know what's happening in Brazil right now. They're complaining about our currency, and they're going to raise tariffs some more. So who knows, it might be a one-shot opportunity. Innovate, develop new product annually. And you know, we've been pretty purposeful about developing something new. They're not all home runs. It's sort of throw it against the wall and see what sticks. But constantly trying to find, you know, a different angle. Execute, you know, work at what we do, do it faster, better, etc. Currently, we're in pursuit of API Q1, which is the American Petroleum Institute's version of quality management. And you know, the reason to do that is that to formalize some of our processes and you know, just make us a better company. And it's no small task, I might add, but we'll get there. And then inform. Tell everyone what you're doing and why, which is part of that, you know, marketing physics. And then this is John's contribution. Never stop doing all the above. And for John, it's never stop making the money. I mean, I don't go by a day without, did we get an order today? So yeah, never stop doing what you're doing, to continually do it over and over again. So this is a tagline that we developed actually this year: breaking ground, building trust. It's more than what we do, it's who we are. And you know, in the business that we're in, I can tell you, to compete with us with equipment, you need a pole barn and a telephone book. And you can call and order the supplies that you need, and you need to learn to weld. You need to learn how to integrate it. But I mean, the barrier to entry really isn't that great. It takes some capital, but there's 150 people around the world doing the hole in the ground business, and I'm talking manufacturing it, not drilling with it. Just they're all over the place. So you know, it's more than obviously the product. It's got to be what the message that the brand sends. And we believe it's the trust. You know, it's establishing trust with people, and you know, making them want to have more of us. I mean, that's basically it. And then, I did this a couple of years ago, and I'm sure I used this. I love Winston Churchill. However beautiful the strategy, you should occasionally look at the results. So I thank you for your time and attention. I'm sure I went over, so I apologize, and thanks again.